Have you ever had the feeling that the universe is trying to tell you something? How when you think of a person and suddenly she sends you a message, or when you are facing a doubt and out of nowhere an unexpected answer arises, whether in a conversation, a book, or even a song. Was it just coincidence or a sign that something bigger is in action? Carl Jung believed that these events were not mere chances, but manifestations of a phenomenon called synchronicity, a powerful concept that can completely change the way you see life. And the truth is that when you learn to identify these signs, your reality will never be the same. Most people live without realizing the hidden patterns that connect the events of their lives. They think everything happens at random, that unexpected encounters and striking events are the result of blind fate or luck. But Jung found that there are invisible connections between our minds and the world around us, and that these connections manifest themselves through synchronicity. This means that often what we call coincidence is, in fact, a reflection of our unconscious interacting with reality. And if you are aware, you can use it as a compass to make decisions, find answers, and better understand your own way. But now, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you been through situations where something happened so accurately it seemed to have been planned by the universe? Perhaps a book that appeared exactly when you needed an answer, advice from someone unknown who seemed to speak directly to your soul, or even a repeated number or symbol that seemed to try to tell you something. Has it happened to you? If so, share in the comments. I've lived a synchronicity, because I want to know how many people here have already felt this invisible connection acting on their lives. And if it never happened to you, or if it happened, but you never stopped to analyze, then pay close attention to what comes next. Because in the next few minutes, I will show you how synchronicity works, how to identify it, and how to use it to transform your reality. If this message has made sense to you so far, if you have felt that the universe was sending you signals, then know that this is not a chance. And I really want to know your experience with it. Have you ever lived moments when it seemed that everything was fitting in an inexplicable way? Have you ever felt that something bigger was guiding your choices? If yes, write in the comments, "I trust the signs of the universe," because I want to know how many people here have gone through this experience and how it impacted their lives. And if you haven't noticed these signs yet, don't worry. Often they are happening all the time around us, but we spend our life distracted, not noticing the messages that the universe is sending us. Next, I will show you exactly how to identify these patterns and how you can use synchronicity to your advantage to create a life more aligned with your true essence. But before you continue, if this content is making sense to you, don't forget to leave your like. This is very important because it shows YouTube that this video has value, so it can reach more people who need to hear this message. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now and enable notifications to not miss any video. Here, we talk about self-knowledge, deep psychology, Carl Jung, spirituality, and everything that can help you better understand the mysteries of mind and universe. Now continue with me, because in the next few minutes, you will understand how synchronicity can become a powerful tool to transform your life. Many people go through life without realizing the signs that the universe constantly sends. They believe it is all coincidentally, that unexpected meetings, phrases that seem to have been said at the right time, and even repetitive numbers or symbols are just the result of chance. But what if these events were actually answers to questions you didn't even know you were doing? What if there was a hidden meaning behind each of these events? Carl Jung dedicated years of study to understand this phenomenon and found that synchronicity is much more than simple coincidences. It is a hidden language of the universe that can reveal paths, open doors, and completely transform its perception of reality. The problem is that most people are not aware of it. They live on autopilot, too busy with routine, attached to daily worries, always running from side to side, never realizing that the reality around them is trying to communicate with them. How many times something seemingly random has happened in your life and did you simply ignore? How many opportunities went unnoticed because you weren't aware of the signs? You may have already felt that something inexplicable has happened, that an answer came to you at the exact moment you needed, but quickly dismissed it as an unimportant coincidence. The truth is that nothing is by chance. Each unexpected encounter, every phrase that comes to you in an unusual way, each repetition of patterns has a reason. But if you do not know how to recognize synchronicity, if you are not aware of how the universe communicates, these signs will be wasted. Imagine that you are walking an unknown path without a map, without direction. Now imagine that this map already exists, but you have never learned to read it. This is the real problem. The signs are everywhere, but few people know how to decipher them. And if you are here now watching this video, maybe this is already a sign. Perhaps this is the moment you start seeing the invisible connections that have always been around you, because when you learn to interpret synchronicity, everything changes. The answers you seek so much begin to appear, decisions become clearer, and the feeling of being lost disappears. You stop fighting the current and learn to flow with the universe, trusting that there is a larger order behind each event. Now I want to know about you. Have you ever felt that something in your life happened so perfectly that it seemed to have been planned by the universe? Have you ever had the feeling that certain meetings or situations had greater meaning? If so, write in the comments, "I'm starting to see the signs." I want to know how many people here have realized this hidden force acting on their lives. Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how Carl Jung discovered synchronicity and how you can use it to transform your life. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in history, has revolutionized the way we understand the human mind and the connection between the conscious and the unconscious. Unlike many scientists of his day, he did not believe that life events were just random or the result of chance. For Jung, reality was intertwined by invisible forces, hidden patterns, and deep meanings that manifested through synchronicity. Synchronicity was one of the most important concepts Jung developed. He realized that certain events that at first glance they seemed coincidence, actually had a direct relationship with the individual's psyche. External and internal events were symbolically aligned, creating connections that went beyond common logic. That is, often what we call chance is, in fact, a response from the universe to our mental, emotional, and spiritual state. But how did Jung come to this conclusion? He began to notice patterns in his patients. Many of them reported experiments in which certain symbols, numbers, or unexpected encounters seemed to be repeated in key moments of their lives. As a psychologist who valued the unconscious so much, Jung realized that these phenomena could not simply be discarded as unimportant coincidences. There was a greater order acting behind all this. One of the most famous cases Jung studied on synchronicity involved a skeptical patient who was having difficulty in his therapy. During a session, she told a dream in which a golden beetle appeared. As she spoke, an insect very similar to the dream beetle began to hit the office window. Jung opened the window, took the insect, and showed to the patient. This moment was so impactful that the patient finally managed to break an emotional barrier and advance in her therapeutic process. For Jung, this event was a clear example of how the universe manifests itself in symbolic forms to help us understand something deeper about ourselves. This kind of phenomenon happens all the time, but most people do not realize. Jung said that the universe communicates with us subtly through standards, symbols, and events that carry hidden messages. Synchronicity does not follow the rules of traditional logic because it is not a cause and effect relationship, but a connection based on meaning. Imagine that you are going through a moment of doubt, not knowing if you should make a big decision. Suddenly you find a book with exactly the words you needed to read, or receives advice from a stranger who seems to have been tailored to you, or sees the same number repeatedly, as if he wanted to get his attention. For Jung, none of this is a chance. They are signs of the unconscious manifesting itself in reality, trying to guide you to the right way. The problem is that we live in a society that teaches us to ignore these signs. We grew up listening that coincidences are ap enas work of chance, that there is nothing but what we can prove scientifically. But Jung was one of the first to challenge this limited view of reality. He has shown that the human mind and the universe are interconnected, and that when we learn to perceive this connection, we live more consciously and aligned with our true purpose. Now, I want to know about you. Have you been through any situation where you felt that the universe was sending you a message? If so, write in the comments. I see the signs of the universe. I want to know how many people here have had experiences that challenged logic and brought new meaning to their lives. Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how to identify synchronicity in your life and use it to your advantage. Synchronicity is when two or more events connect in a way that cannot be explained by chance, but by deeper meaning. Unlike simple causality, where one event leads directly to the other, synchronicity happens symbolically, as if the universe was weaving an invisible thread between what is within you and what happens in the world around you. Carl Jung believed that these events were a reflection of our unconscious interacting with external reality. He realized that many of the coincidences we live in carry a hidden message, a call to look more closely at our own journey. This means that synchronicity is not just a random phenomenon. It is a tool of self-knowledge, a means by which the universe helps us understand our path better. Imagine that you are going through a difficult phase and you don't know which decision to make. In the midst of this dilemma, you will find a book that talks exactly about your problem, or hear a phrase from a stranger who seems to have been made for you, or see the same number repeatedly, as if he wanted to tell you something. For most people, this could be seen as any coincidence. But for Jung, these events are like a mirror of their inner state. He realized that there is a connection between our mind and the events of our lives. This is because we live in a universe where everything is interconnected. What you feel, what you think, what you want deeply, all this creates an energy field around you. And this field interacts with the outside world in ways that we cannot always understand rationally. When you begin to perceive these standards, it begins to see that the world is not just a set of random events, but a large flow of energy and meaning. Jung saw this happen countless times in his studies. He noted that certain archetypes of the unconscious, universal symbols that exist in all cultures, appeared in people's lives at the exact moment they needed guidance. These symbols did not arise by chance, but because the unconscious mind was seeking answers and somehow attracted these signs to the reality of the person. If you already felt you were in the right place at the right time, if you already found answers where you least expected, if you already realized standards that seemed too significant to be just coincidences, then you have experienced synchronicity. But the problem is that most people ignore these signs. They were not taught to pay attention, did not learn to interpret these messages, and therefore let valuable opportunities pass. Now imagine what would happen if you started seeing life otherwise. If instead of ignoring these events, you begin to analyze them. If instead of believing that everything is chance, you begin to see that there is an invisible pattern guiding your journey. How would this change your way of making decisions? How would this affect your confidence in your own way? The truth is that the universe is always talking to you. The question is whether you are listening. Now, I want to know, have you had experiences that looked more than mere coincidences? Do you feel that certain signs appear to guide you? If so, Write in the comments. I see the signs of the universe. I want to know how many people here have noticed this phenomenon and how it impacted their lives. Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how to identify synchronicity in your life and use it to your advantage. Now think of a moment of your life when something extraordinary happened without a logical explanation. Perhaps you were going through a difficult time, full of doubt, and out of nowhere, found a book that talked exactly about what you needed to know. Or maybe he crossed with someone who in a few words gave you advice that completely changed his perspective. It has happened that you think intensely about someone and soon after, that person sends you a message or even the look in front of you. Was that really a chance? Or was it a clear sign that the universe was trying to communicate with you? Jung believed that these moments of synchronicity were not random. He repeatedly saw how these experiences happened at decisive moments of people's lives, as if an invisible intelligence was guiding each one of us on our journey. And the question I ask you is, how many times has it happened to you, but did you ignore or just think it was coincidence? The truth is that in the rush of everyday life, we are trained to ignore these signs. From an early age, we have learned to rely only on what can be scientifically proven, what can be explained rationally. But what if this limited view is preventing you from seeing the answers that are already around you? And if the universe is already giving you clues from the right track, but you are not paying attention? Now close your eyes for a moment and try to remember a situation where something like this happened to you. It may have been a number that has repeatedly appeared, a phrase someone said and has hammered in his mind, a meeting that changed everything. When you look back, can you realize that these events had deeper meaning? Can you see that they happened at the exact moment you needed? Carl Jung said that synchronicity often comes when we are ready to jump into our evolution. When we are on the verge of a big change, when we are about to make an important decision, when our soul is calling by transformation, the universe begins to send us signals, but it takes sensitivity to perceive them. You need to be open to listen, to interpret, to trust that there is something greater guiding your journey. And now I want to know, have you been through a synchronic experience that made you rethink your worldview? Have you ever felt that an unexpected event happened to guide you or show you something important? If so, write in the comments, "The universe is guiding me." I want to know how many people here have lived this phenomenon and how it impacted their lives. Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how you can recognize the patterns of synchronicity and use them to make better decisions and transform your life. Imagine that your mind is like a radio tuning frequencies. If you are spinning the dial non-stop, jumping from season to season, without focus, unintentionally, what do you hear? Only noise, interference, and static. But when you adjust the tune, you find the right season, and music becomes clear, harmonious, engaging. Synchronicity works exactly the same way. If your mind is chaotic, full of worries, fear, and distractions, the signs of the universe will be happening, but you will not be able to perceive them. They will be there going unnoticed, like a bad radio that only transmits noise. But when you start aligning yourself with your true essence, when you connect with your purpose and what really matters to you, signs begin to emerge more clearly, and synchronicity manifests itself almost magically. Think about how many times you were completely absorbed into a problem and seemed not to find out. You thought, analyzed, tried to solve, but the more you worried, the less clarity you had. So suddenly, Something changes. You may relax, change your environment, allow yourself a moment of silence. And then, out of nowhere, a solution appears. You receive an unexpected advice from someone. A book falls from the shelf and opens exactly on the page you needed to read. You see a sentence written in a billboard that answers exactly to the doubt that was in your mind. This is because when your energy is in tune with what you seek, the universe responds. The reality around you begins to guide you through subtle signs. You are no longer just a viewer of your life and see the hidden patterns that have always been there. Another way to view synchronicity is to think of a river. Imagine that you are swimming against the chain, fighting the strength of the water, trying to follow a path that seems difficult and exhaustive. This is the state of those who are misaligned, who is not hearing the signs, who resists the natural flow of life. But when you surrender to Rio, when you stop fighting it and learn to flow with your current, everything becomes easier. You advance effortlessly, being guided by the very strength of water. Synchronicity is this flow. It is the confirmation that you are on the right track. When signs start to appear frequently, when events fit almost impossible to explain, it means that you are aligned with something bigger, that your mind and soul are in tune with the universe. And if this all makes sense to you, I want you to stop and reflect. Are the signs already appearing in your life, but have you not yet learned to see them? Does instead of resisting and swimming against the chain, can you learn to rely more on the flow of life? Now I want to know, have you been through times when everything seemed to fit perfectly, as if the universe was guiding you? If so, write in the comments. I'm learning to tune the signs. Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how you can use synchronicity to your advantage to completely transform your life. Now that you understand the power of synchronicity, how can you use it to your advantage? How to transform this knowledge into something practical that really change your perception and reality? The first step is simple but fundamental. Pay attention to signs. Synchronicity is happening all the time, but if you don't train your look to perceive it, these moments go unnoticed and you keep thinking everything is just chance. Begin to observe the patterns that are repeated. Have you seen a specific number very often? Did different people give you similar advice in a short time? Does the same symbol appear in unexpected ways? Are unusual encounters leading you to new opportunities? All of this can be a sign. Life has a subtle way to guide us, but we need to be aware of interpreting these messages. A great practice to develop this perception is to maintain a diary of synchronicity. Take a notebook or even a notepad on your phone and start recording all the unusual events that draw your attention. Write about striking dreams, repetitions of patterns, phrases or words that arise unexpectedly, situations that seem too aligned to be coincidence. Over time, you will begin to realize connections between these events and your internal life, and you will see how synchronicity is always present, guiding your way. The second step is to trust your intuition. Often the answer you seek is already within you, but your rational mind insists on ignoring it. How many times have you had a strong feeling about something, but decided to follow the logic and then regret it? How many times your heart said yes or no, but has your mind insisted on choosing the opposite? Synchronicity manifests not only through external events, but also within us through intuition. If something seems significant to you, if something arouses a strong feeling, trust it. Your unconscious is more connected to the universe than you think. And here comes the third step. Align your energy with what you want. Synchronicity responds to the frequency you make. If your mind is full of doubts, fears, and negative thoughts, you tune into life in this vibration and get back situations that reflect this energy. But if you begin to act with confidence clearly, with intention, the universe responds to the same extent. This is why some people always seem to be in the right place at the right time. They have learned to align with the flow of life, to trust that the right way will be revealed at the exact moment. The practice of gratitude can also amplify this process. When you recognize and thank you for the synchronicities that happen, you are sending a signal to the universe you are aware of, which you value this connection. This further strengthens its perception and makes room for more synchronicity to occur. Now I want you to stop and think, what signs have you ever appeared in your life? Have you paid attention, or do you think everything is coincidence? If you are ready to start realizing these standards and use them to your advantage, write in the comments, "I trust the signs of the universe." I want to know how many people here are willing to see life with a new look. Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how this change of perception can completely transform your journey. Now you realize that synchronicity is not just coincidence. You understand that these events that once looked like randoms carry hidden messages, subtle directions, and confirmations that you are on the right track. Each repeated number, each unexpected meeting, every phrase that comes at the exact time is part of a great dialogue that the universe is having with you all the time. But the big question is, are you paying attention? Many people spend their lives ignoring these signs. They live on autopilot, attached to their routines, too busy to realize the details, the patterns, the small messages that come daily. But now that you have learned to identify synchronicity, you can choose to see the reality in a new way. What once seemed like a chance can now be seen as an opportunity. Imagine the impact that this change of mindset can have on your life. Instead of feeling lost, confused, without direction, you realize that the universe is already guiding you. Instead of fighting the chain, trying to force answers, you learn to flow, trusting that the signs will emerge at the right time. Instead of doubting your journey, you see each significant event as a reminder that it is exactly where it should be. Carl Jung said that the unconscious and the universe are interconnected. When you want something deeply, when you connect with a genuine intention, the world around you begins to reflect this vibration. The doors open, the answers come, the coincidences become so frequent that they cease to seem coincidences. What was once unnoticed now becomes clear. It is as if reality is showing you a path that has always been there, but only now you are ready to see. And this is the moment of its transformation. Now that you know that, what do you choose? Will you continue treating life as a chance, ignoring the signs, or will you embrace this new vision and start paying attention to how the universe is trying to communicate with you? What before seemed confusing now can be a map. What seemed before just coincidence now can be a guide. The question is not whether the universe is talking to you. He has always been. The question is whether you are listening. If you are ready to trust this flow, allow yourself to be guided by this invisible intelligence that is all the time interconnecting your inner world with your external reality. Now you have a choice. And if it made sense to you, I want you to write in the comments, "I trust the way of the universe." Let's continue this conversation, because in what comes next, I will show you how you can further deepen this connection and use this knowledge to transform all areas of your life. Now that you have understood that synchronicity is not just a chance, but a constant dialogue between you and the universe, the time has come to further deepen this connection. Many people begin to realize the signs and even recognize that something bigger is happening, but still find it difficult to interpret messages and act with confidence. After all, what's the point of seeing signals if you don't know how to use them to your advantage? Synchronicity does not just happen to surprise you or impress you, it comes as a call to action. The universe does not send you signals just so you can see them, but to do something with this information. But how do you know if a sign is really important? How to differentiate a real synchronicity from a common event? The first thing you need to understand is that the most powerful signs are accompanied by an emotional impact. When a synchronic event happens, it does not go unnoticed. He arouses a strong feeling. It can be a sense of shiver, a cold in the belly, an intuition that says, "Pay attention to that." This is one of the first evidence that what is happening carries a special meaning. In addition, signs usually arise when you are in a moment of doubt, transition, or change. If you are wondering which way to go, if you are expecting a response about a relationship, a professional decision, a new project, be aware. Synchronicity often comes to confirm what you already feel in your mind, but you have not had the courage to take over. Another important aspect is that synchronicity does not happen in isolation. It usually repeats itself. The same number begins to appear constantly. A symbol arises in different contexts. Different people tell you the same thing at different times. When something begins to repeat itself, the universe is trying to emphasize the message to finally realize. And here comes the most important part. You need to act. If a sign has arisen for you, it means that the universe is giving you a push in the right direction. But it is up to you to take the next step. If you see a repetitive number, research the meaning. If a phrase has touched your heart, reflect on how it applies to your life. If a person appeared in his way bringing an opportunity, don't ignore it. The great truth is that synchronicity acts as a cosmic GPS. But just like a traditional GPS, it doesn't take you anywhere if you don't decide to move. The signs are always there, but it is up to you to interpret, trust, and act. Now stop for a moment and think, what has the universe been trying to show you lately? Which message have you been repeatedly received, but you haven't had the courage to follow yet? If you feel you are starting to see the signs more clearly, write in the comments, "I'm ready to act." I want to know how many people are really willing to turn this knowledge into something powerful. And in the next, I will show you how to use this power even more consciously to manifest what you really want. The universe is sending you signs all the time. Nothing is by chance. What seemed like a simple coincidence now, you understand that it is a hidden message, a call from the universe so that you wake up to something bigger. Perhaps before watching this video, you still had doubts, you still thought things just happened without a purpose. But now you realize that there is a force guiding every step of your journey. And this force does not follow traditional logic. It manifests itself through subtle patterns, unexpected encounters, repetitive symbols, and moments that seem perfectly aligned with what you need at that moment. The question has never been if the universe is sending you signs. He is. It has always been. The real question is, are you paying attention? If you already felt you were in the right place at the right time, if it has lived situations where the path seemed to open before his eyes, if you already had times when everything seemed impossible to explain, then you have experienced the power of synchronicity. But what differentiates those who really use this wisdom from those who simply let life go unnoticed? The confidence. The more you align with your true essence, the more these signs become clear and frequent. Synchronicity does not happen at random. It intensifies when you are on the right track, when it stops resisting and begins to flow with the natural rhythm of life. And here is something important for you to reflect. Are you living with resistance or in flow? Have you ignored the signs, insisting on paths that are clearly not taking you where you want? Or are you aware, following intuition, letting the universe guide you to the right opportunities, to the right people, to the right times? The reality is that life is always trying to show you the way. If something is too difficult, maybe it's a sign that you are forcing a path that is not for you. If doors are closing, perhaps it is a sign that a new path, much bigger and better, is about to open. But to see this, you need to stop fighting the flow and start trusting the process. Carl Jung understood that the unconscious and the universe are interconnected. Nothing happens by chance. Each person who crosses his way has a purpose. Each unexpected moment can be an answer to something you are looking for. But it is up to you to perceive and act. The universe can show you the signs, but it cannot make decisions for you. Now I invite you to do something powerful. Make a commitment to yourself to pay more attention to synchronicity. From now on, start writing down the events that seem to have a hidden meaning. Observe the repetitive patterns, the unexpected meetings, the messages that arrive exactly when you need to hear them. The more you do this, the more you will see that your life is full of synchronization and that the universe has always been guiding you. And now stop for a moment and think, what signs has the universe sent to you lately? Have you ignored or paid attention? If this message made sense to you, write in the comments, I trust the way of the universe. I want to know how many people are ready to see life with a new look and allow synchronicity to guide them. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now and enable notifications to continue receiving content that will expand your mind and help you understand the mysteries of the universe. Leave the like in this video so that this message reaches more people, and watch the next video that is appearing on the screen, because it will further deepen this knowledge and help you transform your life. See you there.